You intend to make us world famous, Dr. Ahmad. Okay.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, now it's
thank you.
live stream.
All right.
Thank you.
So, what is proposing are these standards? So, just briefly going to look at them. So, as a teacher, you need to be, first of all, a facilitator. Okay, you need to be a designer, collaborator, a digital citizen, a leader in every case, a learner, and an analyst. Let me show you briefly what these are about. Okay, so as a learner, you know about lifelong learning, you know all that stuff, and you never learn enough. Technology, especially, is changing all the time, so you need to adapt yourself. You need to be like you are here today for this webinar and this series that Abu Dhabi University is offering to you. You need to update your knowledge. You need to get some new knowledge or update existing knowledge. You need to be always after any opportunities that will give you the opportunity to lead either your students or your colleagues in your environment. As a digital citizen, you need to be able to use technology online and be able to contribute positively to the digital world. Okay, so you can have profiles, for example, and have publications and share your experience and your knowledge with other people online, or your students and your colleagues, the people within your profession. Collaborator, be able to collaborate with your colleagues and your students. Teamwork, as we heard yesterday from the associate provost, is one of the most important traits that companies are looking today, and one of the difficult ones to achieve in any working environment. The designer, and this is sometimes my students are objecting to ask them to design something. Unfortunately, using technology, you have to be a designer of learning. You have to design learning activities and the environment within you are performing. So you cannot avoid thinking about design and about how you can create original, authentic experiences for your students. The student experience is at the core of your learning. Facilitator, especially learning with technology, what we just said about the digital facilitation, and also an analyst, which means that during the course of the year, the academic year, you will have data coming to you from various sources in the educational institution you work. So you need to have this at your disposal, and you can analyze them, and from there you can identify patterns, either assessment, grades, or behavior patterns, and there you can take some decisions and find some solutions to them. Now, we move to the standards for the leaders. So the question is again the same. Okay, like with teachers, what do you think should be the skills that, or the qualities, if you like, that an educational leader should have to manage technology successfully? When I say to manage technology, I mean to be able to take decisions on technology and guide those sections in educational institutions that have to do with IT or educational technology. So as a leader, okay, we have about 25%, 20% of leaders here. So what do you think? Yes, appropriate knowledge of IT, open-mindedness, to be professional and managing a team, to be creative and multitasking himself or herself, to be a leader, quite a lot of things required from the manager today, and all this just related to IT, right? 21st century skills, technology skills, pedagogical skills, ICT skills, data analysis skills. You're all correct. All you all on spot as to what exactly is needed. So here what it standards is talking about. As a leader, you should be an empowered leader, helping others to learn. A visionary planner. You're not going anywhere without a plan. And equity and citizenship advocate. Give everybody equal opportunities to learn with technology, and also to encourage them to participate in digital life, a connected learner, and a systems design. Same way with the teachers about design, only that the scale here is much larger. So as an equity and citizenship advocate, you have to think about equity, equal opportunities, and try to include everybody in digital citizenship practices that have to do with activities online. You need to have an established vision, and this vision, of course, should not be separate to the vision of the institution that you work. And the vision will be translated to a strategic plan, and there's going to be an evaluation cycle to assess this implementation of your plan, and to move on from there as to how you're going to transform learning with technology. You need to create a culture, and that is a culture that supports innovation, creativity, the use of technology. If you're in an environment where there's a lot of negativity with technology, it's going to fail. It's not going to work. You need to be a system designer, so you need to have some of this knowledge that you mentioned over there, ICT skills, software skills, instruction learning design skills, so that you can help the experts and guide the experts, those who have more knowledge than you, on how to successfully plan something that will integrate to the rest of the institution. And also you need to be, as a leader, a connected leader, which means you have to go always after professional development, which means that you have to go after publications, conferences, seminars, anything that will help you, develop your skills and your knowledge to perform yourself much. And then we come to the students. Okay, so you're going to have these characteristics as teachers and as leaders, and who are you going to offer them to? The students today are different. Okay, there are two generations currently in schools. One is Generation Z. Okay, so these are the so-called digital natives that are born with technology, as opposed to the digital immigrants, those who are forced to use some kind of technology so they can perform at least the basic tasks of their work, and the digital aliens, who are those who refuse to even think about using technology. So I want to show you one video here. They are tech savvy, like they are very good with digital technology, but this is quite funny when you give them something that does not have to do with this digital world we live in. They're totally lost. They're not stupid. It's just that it's something very strange for them, what you're going to see here. Somebody gave them cassettes. This is what they had to say about this, as to what these cassettes are.
Oz, where do you put the headphones?
In there. No, you put it into a TV. You didn't have TVs back in those days.
What, when I was a child?
Yeah.
In the 80s, there weren't any TVs?
No.
You're just old.
B.
Are you getting any music out of it, Oz?
No.
I'm just getting rattles.
You're just getting rattles?
Yeah, how do you turn it on? Is
Do you
there
think
like
it
an
needs
on button?
batteries?
Yeah.
Where do you think the batteries might go?
How'd you turn it on?
How do you
Do you
turn
like-
it on?
Yeah. Is there a switch? I broke it. I broke it.
Just push it back in. Is that like?
Oh, I found
I
where you
really
put the
don't
headphones.
understand how you listen to music on this thing.
I found where you
Right.
put. I found where you put the headphones.
Yeah.
Daddy, I know how you use them. You put them
Oh
into
yeah,
a
and you can
TV.
watch the music video through there.
So
You plug your headphones in there.
I get it.
And
Right,
then it goes
right,
round,
right.
and then it goes like that, and then you look through it, and
Right,
then the
no,
music video goes ahead.
You plug it into like this. So basically, somehow it plugs into like the TV, and you have to watch it through there.
Yeah.
Or it
Is there
plugs
an
in.
AUX cable that goes into the TV?
Are you guys actually serious?
I'm deadly.
So, yeah, who's the digital native now? But what do you think are the characteristics of this young people today? Can you think of some ways that would you could describe them? I'm talking about those who are now in school or preschool age. The so-called digital natives and the little brothers and sisters, tech savvy, problem solvers, smart in technology, naughty, intelligent, innovative. Careless in what? Creative, experimental, discoverers, adaptable, tech addicts, and the list goes on and on and on. This creates a problem, like a problem for you as teachers, because if this is what your students are, then why, not all of you, but why in some cases you carry on giving them linear tasks in the classroom? Why you don't engage them with technology in the classroom? Why you carry on with traditional ways to teach them? Integrating technology in the classroom will respond to all these characteristics that you are putting there on the screen. These are your students today, and their little brothers and sisters, the generation Alpha, I'm going to show you next, are even more, one level up from all this here. This is quite a lot for your students, do you think? Okay, let's go back to this. So this is one classification of all generations, starting from the builders, the boomers, generation X, Y, Z, and now we have to go from the beginning, Alpha. So you will see here a lot of things about them. One thing I would like you to notice is here how their engagement is changing from being verbal, like baby boomers. I'm not going to tell you where I am. To being Generation Z, from verbal to visual. Instead of sitting and listening, now they want to try and see. The teacher is not like the traditional teacher who sits in the middle of the room, but is a facilitator. The content is not about what, but about how, empowerment. Not curriculum-centered, but learner-centric. Closed book exams versus open book exams. And you will see so many other things here about them. Most of them are in India, China, the US, and they have many different names. Down here at the bottom where you see today, you see in the 20th century before you had a childhood, you had a teenager, and you had adult. But now all these classifications have been broken down, and you have many different other stages because the things that happen in their lives are so many that you can define each level, its stage separately and give them a different name. So you have the childhood, have the twin between the teenager and the child. You have the young adult, you have the keeper. This is interesting. Look it up on the Urban Dictionary, not just in Google. It has to do with those people today who refuse to leave homes and they just stay home spending their parents' pension money. Okay, and so on. So this is Generation Z. And I have a question for you here again. Okay, now those were about your the young people in general, but when it comes to the students you have at school, I want you to think, what kind of knowledge and skills do you think they need? What kind of things they need to learn to be successful after they finish their education and they move on either to the workplace or to move to higher education? You can think 21st century skills. And most of these are. So, yes, critical thinking, innovation, creativity, problem solving. Again, the question is here for you to think, are you actually feeding your students with all this? I mean, are you offering all this to your students? And if not, you have to think how you can do that. If you utilize technology, you integrate it successfully, because you may be using technology, but it may be partial or may be not sufficient. So if you integrate technology into your learning, your students are going to thrive. You're going to see all this coming up from them, and you're going to have the best students. And of course, they're going to be successful later in their lives. So I can leave the screen going on and on and on. So many things there. Okay, so let's have a look here in the slide, some of the characteristics and what they're on about. One is that despite what you believe, Generation Z is quite social. Okay, they spend a lot of time during the day socializing with their friends. They're multitaskers. So forget about linear tasks. When you teach them, they can perform many things and fast, as you saw, as you wrote there in the answers. They can perform many things fast and many things at the same time. Entrepreneurs, give them something and show them how to do business, and they are interested in starting new businesses. Educated, one out of two, they're going to have a college education. The philanthropist, the interest is in world problems and so on. The digital natives, as we said, born with technology, born the year that the iPad came out. They love interactivity, they're tech savvy, they're less confused than you think about things. They have a clear idea about what's happening online. And if sometimes you think they're careless, it's because they know how to protect themselves a bit better than us, the adults, that is. Okay, there's so many new technologies coming out, social media, that you have younger people involved. So they're bound to know better than you and me how they work and all the tricks, how to hide them from us. And they're very cautious about their self and how they present themselves online. So this is your students, one part of them. So think what you need to address of all this, or you can address all of this. And that's why you need to transform your classroom, integrating technology, so that your students, you can say that they're happy. They learn something because they learn the way that they can, using all these characteristics that you see there on the screen. And then you have Generation Alpha. It's a much more complicated generation. We're just starting to learn about them. There they are, the little brothers and sisters of the other generation. They're so infused in technology that, like the other kids you saw, they don't know anything else. I don't know if I'm going, if every time I see this video, there's plenty of videos like this, I don't know if it's something you should cry or laugh about, but this is a baby here that's so used in using an iPad. And look what happens when the baby is given a magazine. Okay, I'd like to hear your opinion later about this. So the generation is what we call post-milestone, post-linear, post-literal, and post-logical. What all this all mean is simply that regarding to the post-milestone is, as you saw before in the other classification of with Generation Z, so many things are happening in their lives. The transition on how they jump from one stage to another is fluid. It's like you cannot really find any particular characteristics that you can say they're like this when they're 5 and they're like this when 7. Okay, because they're having so many life-shaping experiences that it makes them so complicated. And it is interesting to see how these kids are going to grow up in the future. The other one is they don't like any kind of traditional way of doing things. As we said, it's the same like generations. They grown into technology. You saw the baby there, and they like things that are, multitasking experiences, and they don't like linear things. They find them boring. The other thing is about their communication. It's not like a one-to-one person only, but now it's multimodal because they can express themselves in many different ways through technology and also discover things. And in that process, spelling and the rules of grammar are not important. If you ask your kids to show you how they communicate when they write to each other, you will see what I mean. It's interesting because we had a discussion the other day with my students in the master's program about handwriting, and they were saying that handwriting is important. And I challenged them, why is it important? I'm challenging you as well. Why is it important if we all type, or we use a computer or a phone to type anymore? What does it matter if your handwriting is good or not? You can tell me. But logical, the age of reason, okay, is given away to the age of participation. So it's not about who I should follow, for example, and follow as a model, but it's who's going to influence me more. This has to do with influences, the social media, for example, who look at the kids are following, and they take example of their lifestyles. So when it comes to them again, the digital masters and critical consumers, they like to shop online, the creative entrepreneurs and the young activists, pretty much a lot of the characteristics that you have in Generation Z. It is important in this graph here to see down here how they have evolved within changing technologies. These are technologies that are coming through the years, and these are technologies that are coming out. So we are now 2020, where we have the 5G, biometrics, autonomous vehicles, credit cards out, are they somewhere here, and so on. Wallets are out, digital wallets are in, quantum computing is in, analog wallets are out, digital wallets are in, and so on. What's important? Because if you are in class and you give them some kind of technology that is outdated, you have a discrepancy here, and you will confuse the students, because if you give them this kind of technology that is outgoing, the bottom one, while outside the class they're learning and they're very good in it on how to use the top technology, you understand what the confusion is about. Okay, students. So the same way with teachers and educators, like leaders, ISTE also has prescribed some standards for the students. What should the students be characterized by nowadays? Let's go back to the question bit there. Great, I lost it 1 moment. Sorry for this one. I'll be back straight away. I'll give you time to answer some to send some questions in if you want. So let's go to this slide here. What are the following types? Are you familiar using your teaching? No, sorry. Okay, I don't have a slide for generation. I think we talked enough about the students anyway. So this is quickly what is supposed to be according to the technology standards that we have. To be empowered learners, as I said, to use technology to learn. Digital citizens, knowledge constructors, able to construct knowledge by themselves, given the right way on how to learn by the teachers who are now facilitators. They should be innovative designers, find new ways to think about solutions, computational thinkers, creative communicators, find ways to communicate the ideas to other themselves, and also global collaborators to be able to work with other students, either in their own school or outside their school. Okay, types of technology degradation. So let's have a look at what kind of classrooms you can have by integrating certain types of technology. So here this question goes now. Which of the following types are you familiar with or using your teaching? You already answered. Project-based learning, game-based learning, fine. Okay. Understandably, VR, AR, and MR, virtual augmented reality, immersive reality is lower because of the cost, I guess, of the technology or the lack of educational resources for that. Mobile learning, that's interesting, considering that, I guess that's outside the UE, considering that mobile phones are not allowed in UE schools, unless I'm mistaken. QR codes, very good. Coded curation, social media. Okay, interesting to see all that. So when it comes to certain ways that you can integrate technology, let's start with what is technology degradation. Technology degradation basically is characterized by that is methodic and transparent, that you can actually see it. You don't say, I have technology in my classroom, I have a smart board, there's no a board there, there's no projector, that is accessible and readily available. That if you want to print something, there is actually a printer that you can send something to print, not you have to wait like 1 or 2 days to be printed. And most importantly, that this technology that you integrate in your lessons is addressing the curricular goals. So that's why it needs to be done according to a careful plan, and you need to consider teaching, assessment as well as assessment when you choose the technology that you want to implement in your curriculum. You're familiar with this, the face-to-face, online types, and of course now the hybrid. The hybrid is basically a version of what we'll be having so far, the blended only online. Okay, it's only that now you have students in the classroom, you have students at home, and you have like you teach them to different classrooms at the same time. So if you have mastered so far, of course you are masters of face-to-face well. If you have mastered face-to-face and you mastered in the last 18 months the blended and the online, then now the hybrid shouldn't be that easier. It's just a bit of blended and online and face-to-face together. So the difference between this is the one is behind the face-to-face that is, and the virtual is the convergence of these two is the blended learning. The successful blended learning equation is this: face-to-face, synchronous conversations, and asynchronous interaction. So you have the conversation in the classroom, okay, happening either face-to-face or virtual, but you also have the online that helps you communicate with the students at any time. So that will create a strong online learning environment. The 5 components, I can also confirm this from previous experience because there's nothing really new. I've been teaching this 10 years ago, so there's nothing really new about blended learning. It's only that the way now it's done, it's more advanced, and of course the internet is faster and the software and the technology is better. But from previous experience, the first class should be always face-to-face. So you should be able to meet your students. Excuse me. And what we're doing also in ADU now, at least in our postgraduate courses, face-to-face exams when it comes to the midterm or the end, the final exam are face-to-face. And the other thing is that you should have opportunity to contact your class many times to meet with them. To differentiate the content delivery and discussion methods, you have various ways to do this because now you are teaching in 2 different modes, face-to-face and online. And of course, you want to have the class size limited. Now it's not possible always, but a class with many students can create a lot of problems. It is very difficult for the teacher. I mean, if it was difficult to do the blended online before, it's even more difficult now for the hybrid. As a teacher, I understand this. These are different models of how you can apply the hybrid model or the blended learning model in schools. One is the rotation model when you have 1 computer, 1 classroom, 1 lab. So you rotate the students. You have the flipped classroom. I'm sure you're all familiar with flipped classrooms where the students study at home and they come in the classroom and they are involved in understanding the subject that they studied and they do activities. Flexible model is something that the student and the teacher decide and they work together on what is best for them, actually for the student, to complete the course. The a la carte model where the students choose certain online courses and the rich virtual model, which is basically the blended learning model. So this is a diagram of the hybrid learning. You see the students in the middle are in the class, students at home are in their own homes, and the teacher is in the class. So what is important here is, as you see, all the students are logged in online. And this is the model that I'm following. I mean, so all the students come in, they log on online, so it's like the blended, only that the difference is the students in the class can see me in front of them. The students from the home, they can see me through a camera on the my computer or another camera in the class. By the way, I should remind you that you have more than 1 cameras available in your classroom. You have your laptop camera, you may have your smartphone camera, but maybe you didn't think about it. You also have your mobile phone cameras. Okay, so if you have a iPhone 13, you have 3 cameras here. No, it doesn't work like that. These phones, they can be like a removable camera. You can move around in the classroom. So that can solve sometimes problems of students from home who cannot listen to the teachers from the classroom because they move away from the board and away from the microphone. Okay, project-based learning. And this has to do with investigating real-time issues, real-time problems. Okay, you have, when we talk about project-based learning, we're talking about basically projects, teamwork. We're talking about students and parents. We need to both understand how it works and cooperate with the teachers to complete the student tasks. Empowerment of students is another benefit of project-based learning. It is important to use the right technology when you select a project. It helps in differentiation among students and it can develop quality essential questions that during the practice, during the implementation of the process. And of course, patience is the key because the project takes a lot of time to be implemented. I have a video here from Khan Academy. It's a short one. It describes how they work with their science class time, science classes.
Well, we do a lot of virtual things on Khan Academy and we teach science, and the goal of the summer camp really is to give the students a real physical experience that really connects a lot of the concepts that you might learn on something like a Khan Academy video. So we do things like real engineering. We build Lego robots that the students actually write software for, that autonomously sumo wrestle. We do market simulations. We perform experiments, but this all involves indoor and outdoor activities. So we just do a bunch of stuff that really connects a lot of the abstract conceptual things that you might learn on, say, a Khan Academy video, and then you bring it into the classroom. So in the market simulations, students learn about probability, they learn about game theory, they learn about trading. In the robotics, they learn about engineering, they learn about math, they do a lot of trigonometry and geometry. So we really try to make it all very tangible for the students.
So this is Mental Boot Camp 2010. It's a one-week course held in Portola Valley in the Bay Area for about 20 to 25 students ranging from 6th grade to roughly 9th grade. Spend a week exploring math and science and technology in the real world. What you're seeing today is a big part of our course, which is the robotics portion, and we're using the Lego Mindstorm NXTs, and we've given the kids a challenge for the week to make a sumo wrestling robot, and they're designed to fight on these wooden tables that you see, one-on-one, and the idea is to push your fellow robot off the edge. So they're using a variety of tools within the robots. There are sensors to detect when you've fallen off the edge. There are other things like the motors to drive them around. And then they've got actuators to hammer on each other and push each other off. So that's the main thrust of the week. We're spending half of the time doing robotics, and then the other half we're doing board games. We're doing the math behind board games, probability and statistics, game theories. The kids are also learning about markets and, for example, trading markets and how they work.
Hi, I'm Rahul.
And I'm Lance.
And this week we're building a Lego NXT robot for our project.
The goal is to push the opponent's robot off the table before your robot falls off.
We can do that by making ultrasonic sensor.
It goes and tries to look for it.
Yeah, and there's a light sensor to make sure it doesn't fall off the table, and also here we have a motion touch sensor, which so that when it backs up, it doesn't fall off this table because the ultrasonic sensor is facing that way, and so is the light sensor. That's why we've stuck a touch sensor back here. We also have some wheels, and these are our motors.
This
Okay, I think you get the idea, so I'll just stop it there. This is another diagram here that gives you an idea of how the project-based teaching works best. Okay, so in the middle you have key knowledge, understanding, success skills. And the way this works is through a process of design and plan, okay, align to the standards, build the culture, and manage the activities, scaffold the student learning, assess student learning, and then engage and coach, and the process, if need, goes around again. Then we come to the game-based learning, and I had a lot of you there. I saw a lot of entries that you have games-based learning. Mind that the game-based learning can be partial, okay, or can be like a class fully gamified. Okay, because in most cases, when you have something like 5-10 minutes of a Kahoot game at the end, of some kind of quiz at the end, this is not really game-based learning, it's just like partial gamification of your classroom. Game-based learning involves analytical thinking, logical reasoning, okay, improves the language and the teamwork. So there's plenty of benefits why you should be involved or should involve your teachers, your students, sorry, in game-based learning. This is an example to show you briefly the difference between game-based learning and gamification. Okay, this is hopscotch. So in the real world, when you play this outside, you have the stone and you just drop it somewhere, and then you just have to follow the steps, just jump to the square that the stone goes. Now, if you attach learning objectives in this, then you make it game-based learning. So now the objective is to throw the stone in the odd numbers or in the even numbers. So the students learn now something. Now the process of doing that and adding even more elements is the process of gamification. So you can add a lot of things, like you can add levels, you can add awards, you can add points. And this table here basically shows you how, according to what kind of gamification, how you want your game to go. You want it for competition, collaboration, collection, surprise, progress, exploration. What kind of game you want to have. Then on the other side, you have here the mechanics. What kind of elements you can add in your game to have competition or collaboration and so on. So if you want competition, you add levels, missions, leaderboards, event feed, quiz, and so on. There's a lot behind for this, which I cannot cover at the moment, but there is basically a way to gamify your classroom, either partially or fully. One way to do a fully gamification of the classroom is coming from this process here, the 5-part process by Huang and Sommer. And what this one says, basically, first of all, you have to understand the audience and the context. You have to know very well your students and how they learn and what they can learn, their level and their possibilities and their abilities, skills. And also you need to understand the content of what you want to teach. Then you refine your learning objectives, what you want to succeed in this lesson. You structure the experience, okay, by pointing out and focusing on the pain points, those factors that prevent the students from learning. They may be technical, they may be personal, and so on. We need a whole new seminar to show you how this is done. Identify resources, and then you apply those elements from the table that I showed you before to do the gamification. I have an example to tell you, but I'm just also mindful of the time. So I'll carry on, and if need, we can come back to this and I'll tell you an example if you want. Then you have the other way to integrate technology in your classroom is through virtual reality, augmented reality, and immersive reality. Okay, so I think you more or less are familiar with all of this. Virtual reality is totally, this table here shows better a bit what they are like. Virtual reality is totally digital, so you immerse by wearing a helmet in a digital environment. And the augmented reality has to do with imposing through the camera of your phone digital objects on the physical world. And the merged reality is something like virtual, only that you can interact now with the objects in the environment. There are 3 videos there that I could show you, but I won't right now. But when you download this PDF I'm sharing with you at the end, you can have a look at them. And as I said, if there's need at the end of the presentation, we can look at them. But the most important one is the immersive reality. This is the future. Although the virtual reality and reality, they have not really been implemented to the cost and the fact that it costs, it's time consuming to create resources that can be used successfully within a curriculum. You need really a plan that says from the beginning, okay, I have this curriculum, and to deliver this curriculum, I'm going to deliver it with VR, AR, for example. So you need to do that from the beginning and plan it when you do that. There are other ways that you can use technology in the classroom. You can use mobile devices. Some of you reply that you do that, or iPads. You can use interactive whiteboards or surfaces. You can use student response systems like clickers or QR codes. Social media to engage your students to the degree that your school environment and regulations allow. Web-based research and coded curation, where your students will go and collect resources from the internet and classify them, categorize them, and use them to create projects. And of course, you can use also student-created media. So students only learn how to create, and then these are used also as learning resources or as learning activities in the classrooms as part of your integration. Okay, the next one, and I'm finished, and I'm not going to be too long. I'll just go through this quickly, is about frameworks of technology integration. So which of these have you heard before? And are you familiar with? These are basically frameworks that applied, they give you the guidelines of how to test, how to think about integrating technology or testing whether technology is integrated or whether it was successful, or even if your teachers have the necessary skills to work with technology. Okay, so most of you are familiar with SAM, a few with PICRAT, Deepak, team. Why is someone crying here? Someone is sad. Why? 5 people, 5 sads. Why, guys? Okay, and I can see a lot of people, both of you know the pedagogy world. By the way, the correct way to write pedagogy is like you see it on the screen. And I know that because I'm Greek, so. Okay, I think it's pretty clear. Okay, that you know one or two, and you hardly ever heard the rest of them. So let's have a look quickly what they are and how they can be used. So this is a nice rat, and this is the rat model. Okay, so this is basically an assessment framework studying the practices of technology in the curriculum. The way this works is, I have a link here on the top, will take you to the website, is by replacing in the first stage something in the classroom. You may have, for example, the students are using pen and paper, and now they're using Word as a replacement. Then the next step is to amplify this experience, to enhance it. So instead of using Word, you can use now PowerPoint. So they can use images, video, audio, and so on. The transformation is to get whatever they were doing before and use it as something different. Like they can use whatever they were doing to make a blog or to create a newsletter and so on. So these are the 3 stages that you can, it's a simple model of how you can apply technology to transform your lesson. The idea of technology integration is to reach the level where you have a seamless integration of technology, where your lesson is actually transformed. Otherwise, it's not full integration, but it's only partial integration, which means it needs still more work if you want to be responsive to all the the needs of your students, the needs of the industry, and how technology can be utilized in the best way possible. The PICRAT is a combination of student relationship and teachers' use of technology. So you have this matrix here. On the left side, you have the student relationship to technology, which can be passive. Okay, those students just receive whatever the teacher is giving them, show them something on the board, on the smart board, and they just listen to it and follow, or they can interact with it. So they all can be interactive, or they can be creative. They can go one step further to use the technology to create something. On the other side, another important factor is the teacher's use of technology. How is the teacher, according to the other model we said, replaces the technology, amplifies, according to the rat model, or transform the technology. So this gives you this, the combination of all these 6 parameters here gives you this matrix where you can see where you are with your students. What should happen really, if you want to integrate technology, you should go for the top right corner combination, which is creative and transforming, or even like the rest, the last column here, which is about transformation. The worst would be just passive and replacements, where you give them something they replace, but there's no further, nothing further than that. So that is the pick right. The sum one has to do with substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. Again, this works like you have a technology or some part of technology in the classroom which is substituted. For example, the student is using now PowerPoint to present information in class. You can augment, you can enhance this experience by taking this and adding video. So, the PowerPoint and adding video. Then modification is the student may do some change, like they present this as a research, for example, create multimedia resources. And finally, redefinitions is the students use the technology to do something entirely different from what was given initial to them, which was just to create a document. Now they can use it to talk to other people, to share with other students. The Deepak model, again, is a model that will allow you to map, if you like, the skills and the knowledge of yourself and your faculty in schools, if you happen to be a leader. So this is the model that every teacher has a content knowledge, which knows their subjects. They have a pedagogical knowledge, so they know how to teach, and they have the technology knowledge. Okay, so these 3 intersect in doubles, okay, in pairs. So you have the pedagogical content knowledge, which is like you're good in pedagogy and content, or the technological pedagogical knowledge, technology and pedagogy, or you're good in technology and content, so you have technological content knowledge. So all this combined together gives you the idea that you need to be able to integrate technology, which is technological, pedagogical content knowledge, okay? A little bit of everything. You can understand that this thing here in the middle is not going to be even when you merge all this. So the idea is when you try to create teachers who will integrate technology, try to give them a bit of everything. Okay, try to make this brown TPCK in the middle as even as possible, including equal parts of the other 3 components. Okay, this is the I'm finishing. It's not much anymore. Technology degradation matrix. Okay, and this one shows you how you can map again the integration in the classroom. So according to this one here, you have different levels of how the teacher is using technology and how the student is performing on the other side. Again, like the Pickard model, it gives you all these different combinations to see where you are with, you can use this to see where you are in your classroom. And then you can see this, where do I want to go with my classroom? And then you can make a plan and accordingly, follow the plan to reach what level you want to reach here. Okay, so levels of technology integration are entry, where the teacher starts giving some tools, then the student, directs the students how to use these tools as the adoption. Facilitates the learning is the adaptation. Fusion is where that provides the learning context, and the transformation is the final end where you want to go with the whole class. On the other side, the students at every level, and you can see the different how the students perform in every technology integration level, is they can be active, they can be collaborative, they can be constructive. It needs a bit of studying, this model, okay? And they can be authentic or they can be goal-oriented. So here it is again. Okay, finally, this one here, technology degradation. I have here some examples for 6:18. I'll try to finish in 5 minutes. Sorry, this is the pedagogy wheel that some of you seem to know. So this integrates motivation theory, integrates Bloom's taxonomy, and then has the divisions of some model. And according to all this, they have mapped applications that you can use. So depending on what kind of level of Bloom's taxonomy you want to address and what kind of level of technology you have, these are the apps that you could use to achieve all these levels of Bloom's taxonomy in there. That's how you could read this one. Now, these are some of the applications that, as I said, some of them were introduced to me by my students, some of them I found in myself. One is Nearpod. I have here an example, but I guess we would like to have some questions, so I won't play the example, but you can play it when you download this presentation. There's a whiteboard. Canva Education is another one where we can, Nearpod is to create interactive lessons. Okay, this one is to, and this I consider some of the most popular ones in 2021, by the way. So this one here is a whiteboard. You can go online instead of using a physical board. Canva Education, you create graphics of any kind. Gimlet is to do coded curation, research and content. iURAD again is to create tutorials online. Some of my students actually used this and the tutorials were quite good. This is again about lesson design. The Worklet is a place where again they go and they collect and curate content. This is Powtoon, where you can create videos, quizzes for quizzes. Critic is a peer grading platform. This is a thing that is coming around and becoming popular in some educational systems where the peers grade the other students. You get grades from your fellow students, and this platform is quite good in doing that. Snapper is for online graphics, and Edulastic is quite good again. It's about creating online assessments. But the best integration of all, okay, is this one here that I found. I can never stop working this. I'll share this with you. It's from, it doesn't have to be the most expensive technology, you know, but just a little bit of human ingenuity and just an answering machine, and you can make something, your message very effective. Let me show you this. So this was from a school in Australia where you had the parents complain about grades and about the kids, but the kids were really not attending the school. And the teachers and the school management decided to unanimously to record this answering machine message for the students, for the parents.
Hello, you have reached the automated answering service of your school. In order to assist you in connecting to the right staff member, please listen to all the options before making a selection. To lie about why your child is absent, press 1. To make excuses for why your child did not do his homework, press 2. To complain about what we do, press 3. To swear at staff members, press 4. To ask why you didn't get information that has already been enclosed in your newsletter and several flyers that have been mailed to you, press 5. If you want us to raise your child, press 6. If you want to reach out and touch, slap, or hit someone, press 7. To request another teacher for the 3rd time this year, press 8. To complain about bus transportation, press 9. To complain about school lunches, press 0. If you realize this is the real world and your child must be accountable and responsible for his or her own behavior, classwork, and homework, and that it's not the teacher's fault for your child's lack of effort, hang up and have a nice day. If you want this in another language, move to a country that speaks it. Thank you for your interest in public education.
So this is the end here for me. These are my details if you want to contact me. And the last slide, when you download this, you will find a link here with the PDF of this presentation. Okay, so if you click this, it's a downloadable copy. So we can go now to AHA slides, and let's see your question. Okay. I don't know. Leila, would you like to take control of the questions and give the microphone to everyone?
Yes.
To talk, or?
Doctor, the questions are mostly about how they can get the translation. I believe Dr. Fteha has answered this question in the chat repetitively. So we have a question about
topic. Okay, a leader should surround himself with team experts whose skills, knowledge, and abilities exceed his levels. The leader does not need to be the expert. Sure, but if somebody comes to you if you're a leader and you don't know about IT and the IT suggests to you 10 different solutions, which one are you going to choose? You're going to trust your expert? You need to know some knowledge as well. In our Master of Education, Education Leadership, our students are learning certain skills about information systems to make such decisions, for example. How can we ask for equity with this generation? Is this somehow unfair? Why? With their vast knowledge, it's unfair to provide them with opportunities and see them what they can achieve. Equity means equal opportunities. I don't understand the question. Somebody understands can answer this. So, someone, are you saying that we should not provide equity, equal opportunities to everyone? You are welcome to answer live. Unmute yourself if you want. Salma, with all the focus on technology these days, don't you think the students are missing the basic decent human skills? I'm not responsible for that, but I don't know. What is the difference between, I don't think they do actually. How can they be missing basic human skills? I think they're there, but maybe we do not encourage them too much, or we'll learn them more how to compete and each other instead of working together with each other. Unfortunately, this is how life is. But I don't think it's just the teacher's responsibility to do this, but also family and so on, society. What's the difference between hybrid and blended learning? Have a look at the PowerPoint, but the hybrid is when, okay, blended learning is you have some, what we're doing before, you have the, I would see my students live, let's say the first week, I would see them in the 2 exams, I would see them at the final exam. And then the rest of the time would be online. That would be the blended learning in a way. The hybrid is a version of the blended learning where you come to the classroom, but not all the students come to the classroom. Some of them are at home and they're logging in from home. So you're teaching both online and you're teaching both face-to-face. Hybrid basically means a version of something. So you will see many versions of hybrid learning. I hope that answers your question. I'm not familiar with how to facilitate guided learning during hybrid teaching setup. Guided reading. I'm not familiar with this, Crystalline. You can download the PowerPoint from the last slide. Okay, what is the current digital gap between the teacher and the student? The digital gap, you don't have to bridge it. But like myself, sit down and learn. It's about learning a bit more, professional development. So you can, at least you don't have to learn everything your students are learning, but learn those things that you need to respond as a teacher successfully in the integration of technology in the classroom. Okay, somebody is asking this again, guided reading 3 times. I don't know what they mean. I think he means that equity and equality of opportunities, so these tools and motivation, how we teach sports on their learning. You're asking me how you can teach responsibility to your students. I think it also starts from home. So motivation, responsibility. If you want your students, motivate them, give them to learn in a way that they enjoy to learn. We showed you before, like if outside the classroom they're learning using technology that is, a bit high tech, and back in the classroom they don't use the same technology, of course they're going to be bored. They're not going to be motivated. And all I can say here is that if somebody is not motivated to learn something, they will never learn. Don't bother, really. You can try up to a point to teach someone to learn. If they don't want to learn, they will not learn. I believe teachers need to know the pedagogical reasons for using or selecting technological tools. I think I gave you some models here where you combine technology and pedagogy. Do you think that teachers are under huge pressure to use technology at the expense of pedagogy? Depends. Again, that has to do with, I think, the leadership issue. If there is a carefully implemented learning plan, e-learning plan, then everything should work fine. If, like what happened at the beginning of the pandemic, people were running around, just what are we going to do now? We have to go and teach from home. I don't know how to use PowerPoint. I don't know how to use a learning platform. Which learning platform I'm going to use? Yeah, of course, there's going to be huge pressure, but if there is a plan, and I think for the last 18 months, it's been the opportunity to develop this kind of plan after you were forced to this emergency online learning. So I don't think it should be a problem under this, if something is in place. How do we access the last slide? The last slide is the one before the last, after that. Okay, how can computer serve as a support partner? How can I get a link for the presentation? How effective is time? I'll answer what I can answer. Okay. This is the slide. So the last one here, you can see the link. I can paste the link in the chat, although you can download this. And I can't really do it now. Here. Okay, Leila, I think I'm done from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Costa, for the informative presentation. Always mixed with a sense of humor from your side to make it more enjoyable by everyone. I hope everyone else enjoyed the presentation like I did. I just noticed a few questions in the chat that have been repetitively asking about how to access the recordings and how to get the certificates. Again, let me please remind you that in order to access the recordings or get the certificate of completion or certificate of attendance, you need to register to the ADU community portal. So thank you again, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. See you again tomorrow in Module 3, Assessment and Distance Learning at 5 p.m. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Bye.